Hello, Herd. For those of you who recovered from yesterday's special edition of Unicorn Chef, where I went out and brought the Brood X to the kitchen, delicious cicada tempura. Check it out. I saw that face. That's okay. You didn't have to try it, but I'm telling you, it was pretty good. It worked out. We're going to have to get over that fear of bugs in 3 to 5 decades. You know, that might be all we're eating. In the meantime, Alyssa is here to help you recover from that drama or trauma or both. So hashtag Unicorn Chef. We'd love to see what you make. And this, of course, is the perfect pandemic dish. You don't feel good. You're having a down day. This is the kind of meal that makes you feel good. Comfort food at its best. But first, Alyssa, today's charity.
Yeah. So raising some money and awareness today for an organization local here in my area. It's called Courage MKE. So they're located in Milwaukee. And their mission is to provide housing and job training, skills, all that sort of thing for, in particular, homeless LGBTQ youth. So oftentimes these are teenagers who have come out to their families and their families have subsequently thrown them out or abused them in some way that they ultimately run away. Lots of different reasons why they may end up homeless. But in any event, I believe it's 2018, they opened the Courage House, which is the first of their housing units where they actually house these children. And so it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart for a lot of personal reasons. But, we announced it on Twitter earlier. I know some of you already saw it. I will match your donations, any donations that you put in tonight, up to $500. Bryson is going to do the same. And we have another donor who is also going to do the same as well. So really easy for us to put together $2,000 right away. If we can get $500 worth of your donations, hey, that's $2,000 to Courage MKE. So hope you'll help us out with that. The link is up. Check them out, and see what they're about. And if you have the means and the will, I really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind. If you do donate, please just DM me on Twitter at Alyssa M_infosec. For those of you that don't follow me, just send me a quick DM. Let me know, just send me a screenshot of the confirmation or whatever, so we can track that. We can make sure that we get those donations.
Yeah, shout out to Tillery, who is over at Grimm, who is the other match. So that's $1,500 right out of the gate to help a worthy cause. Unicorn Chef, all about making the kitchen accessible and trying to do some good in the world. So thank you all for contributing. The link is right down there below. Call now. Operators
are standing by. I don't know.
The website operator forms are standing by. All right. Most important question to start off the evening. Alyssa, what are you drinking?
So let's grab that. I knew you were going to ask. So first of all, in the proper unicorn glass, I have it a I can't even pronounce Mourvedre. It's actually, I went to a virtual wine tasting a while ago, and I got a whole bunch of these bottles, which are perfect because they're like 6-ounce pours each. And so it's a company called, what are they called? In Good Taste. And so they did a virtual wine tasting for us. So I love my bold reds. Here we go for tonight. So cheers.
Cheers. I'm drinking a Black Velvet, which is a mix of Guinness and cider. It's the best of both worlds. And then I don't know if you've seen my new apron, but Tony Hunt sent this over to me. So I got the rainbow dab. All right, let's start making some yummy food.
Yep, I am going to switch camera angles, so bear with me, folks. This will happen a few times, but
while she's doing that, the recipe does call for a few pandemic-specific appliances, we'll call them. Don't worry, we'll also talk about how to make these with substitutes. So if you don't have like an air fryer, like I don't, I will talk about how to do it with a convection oven, which will take a little bit longer, which is why I got a head start on my chicken so I could catch up. But do not be intimidated by appliances. They're almost never necessary. They just make things a little easier.
So So yeah, so that's the theme, right? We're doing pandemic appliances. So I'm using almost all of the new kitchen gadgets that I got during the COVID pandemic. The only one I'm not going to use is this one here. This is a brand new microwave. That doesn't really count. But I started, you guys all remember when we started this pandemic thing, everybody was cooking everything and baking everything. And, we did different meetups every week. I do this one fancy Friday thing some of you have probably joined us for. And I got talked into different things. I had ideas about things and had people talk me into it. So, we're going to use some of those tonight. I'm also not going to use the smoker that I bought during pandemic because, well, we just don't have that kind of time. So what we do have that we're going to use, first of all, I'll show you, is I had thought about this for years. I finally got talked into buying a KitchenAid mixer. And I got it with the shredder, vegetable attachment, whatever. So that's really, really cool. We're going to use that. Another new appliance I got right here. I bought myself a toaster oven. I've never had a toaster oven before, but I live alone. So baking meals, for one, sucks if you're going to try to warm up an entire oven for a one-serving meal. So I replaced my toaster with a toaster oven. It does all the convection cooking. It's great. So we're going to leverage that because we're doing baked mac and cheese as part of this. And then the last thing is here. Now, there's two parts to this. So first of all, you can see it's an Instant Pot, which that I bought very early pandemic, made a lot of different recipes. But more recently, I got this. This is the air fryer lid for the Instant Pot. So if you've got an Instant Pot and you don't have an air fryer, you can buy a lid for, I think it was like $85. And it only fits certain models, so you got to make sure it's compatible with your model of Instant Pot. But it gives you an air fryer. It's great. So I love that because that's what I'm going to use tonight. So
hold on. So I could have used my Instant Pot. I just needed the right lid for it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You have an Instant Pot that it fits on. Like I said, there's some that it doesn't, but there's a long list of ones that it does.
Just hangs out up there. There's my Instant Pot, just waiting to be used.
Right. So that might be a way to go. So yeah, we're going to. I mentioned we're making mac and cheese. We're going to use the air fryer because I'm also going to make hot wings. Like Bryson said, awesome comfort food. That's what we're doing tonight. So we're going to get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kick up some water and get the water boiling because before we do anything, we got to get those noodles going. Two departures from the ingredients list that you saw. First of all, I am not using Elbow Macaroni. I'm using, if you can see it because of the sun here, I'm using rotini. That's mostly because I went to the box of Elbow Macaroni and realized I didn't have enough. So probably should have put it on the grocery list. I didn't. So we're going to use rotini. The other thing is when we come to cheeses.
What was the lightsaber sound?
That is my phone getting a text. So I'm actually going to mute that now.
That was really funny. We're like, now the cheeses. And then it was like, whoomp.
I mean, that almost seems appropriate.
I want to have a cheese saber fight with you in the future. Like we'll both have blocks of cheddar.
I mean, it would be awesome. So here's the cheeses. And I'm going to try to get this where you can see them. There we go. We're just going to do it this way. So I've got 3 cheeses. 3 hard cheeses, block cheeses. First is mozzarella. So that covered, that's in the recipe. The second is cheddar. So I like to use a good cheddar because, from Wisconsin. But this is a smoked cheddar. Because, y'all, if you follow me, you know how much I love smoked foods. And since I can't smoke the mac and cheese tonight because we just don't have the time, I'm using smoked cheddar. So the change is the last one. Now, on the recipe, I called for a Colby, but I found a really nice smoked Gouda. And what really matters here is that the cheeses, other than the cheddar, of course, are good soft cheeses, so they melt well. And so, yeah, to get a little bit of the smoke flavor, I decided to, I changed things up. So while the water is doing its thing, we're going to go over to my KitchenAid and we're going to shred this stuff and get it ready to go. So
I'm already shredded. I've got just plain old cheddar and mozzarella. So
awesome.
My 17-year-old daughter is my benchmark, and I was starting to think of ways to make my mac and cheese a little fancier, and I held myself back in just for her. Fair enough. Yeah, I like to do the mix, but honestly, as long as you have the right amount total of cheese, you can really use whatever you want. And that's what's really cool here. I mean, you can totally experiment. Just, as long as you have something to go with the cheddar, because the cheddar is so hard, you know how cheddar melts, and it's kind of weird if you have it by itself. And there's no rocket science here at all. Speed doesn't matter other than making sure that the cheese doesn't go all over your counter. I've discovered that the hard way, that if you go too fast, the cheese flies everywhere. So there's our cheddar. Sounds like a lesson for life.
Of course, the mozzarella is nice and soft, so it shreds real easy, but it also kind of sticks to everything.
There's a very lab feel, like there's like mechanical noises off camera.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with a good way to arrange things to make this quite as visible as I would like, but, I do what I can.
All right. Well, while we're waiting here, the chat's pretty quiet tonight.
Is everybody being shy?
Yeah, we got a few comments. I mean, there's a little bit of conversation, but hasn't quite sparked yet. We haven't had that lit fire like when Mike Ellis cooks and kitchen.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Is that why you did the double
horrific
smoke on the cheese, because it was like a tribute to Mike Ellis?
What's that?
I said, did you do double smoked cheese as like a tribute to Mike Ellis?
No, why? Is that his thing?
No, he just burns things.
Oh, yeah, that. No, I just like smoky flavor, so yeah.
I mean, he would argue that burned is a flavor.
He would, and he would be wrong, but that's not the first time. I love you, Mike, but man, I don't know. Some of your tastes just perplex me. How about that? I think it's a good way to put it. Actually, I'm not going to do this yet. I was thinking I might do. So we're just waiting to get the water boiling. I want to get the noodles in before I start the rest of this, because we need to get the noodles going for a while before, obviously they take 8-10 minutes. I probably should have, if I'd been smart, which I'm not always when I cook, I probably should have got the water going sooner. But, we're getting close. I mean, you can see it's starting to boil. So there we go. All right. Bring in the noodles. And we're going to get those going. Now, the thing with the noodles is, I mean, obviously everybody kind of likes their noodles a little different. The one thing I will tell you, you want to go fairly al dente with these, because remember, we're going to bake it. So they are going to soften up more while you're baking. So unless you want mushy noodles, if you like them mushy, great. Then full cook them here and you'll be fine. But I'm going to keep them a little lighter just because, that I don't like them too mushy. So we'll let those do their thing. I'm going to move the cheese out of the way. And we can get started on the next piece of this, which is really the cheese sauce. So the cheese sauce is, we're going to start by just making a row. And so that's going to start by melting some butter. Then we're going to mix in a little bit of flour, and then we'll add some milk and some cream cheese. So
have you ever made a roux with just straight like vegetable oil?
No.
Okay, so we had Matt Toussaint on a couple of weeks ago with making a gumbo, and I learned two things. One, apparently I'm the only person in the world who thinks of making a roux with a butter, but clearly I'm not alone. Like that's a French basis of cooking. He makes it with oil. The second is, you can actually make roux in advance and keep it in the fridge. Like it doesn't go bad because it's just flour and oil.
That I have heard. And it makes sense you could do it with oil. I mean, there's so many recipes where you can, take the butter out and replace it with oil. So it doesn't shock me that, you could do a roux that way. I've never tried it.
I hadn't either. It's something I was thinking about doing for tonight, but I have the perfect amount of butter left over, so I'm using butter.
Nice. So we're going to start by just melting the butter. And that's obviously pretty simple. Once we get the butter melted, we'll mix in the flour, let that go. We're going to get it a little brown, not like brown, because if you go too far with this, I can tell you, I've seen it done. Thankfully, I haven't done it yet, where you go too far and it, now your mac and cheese is brown and it tastes like, well, like maybe Mike was cooking it.
Burn!
I got to get one in there. I told you, Mike, I love you.
Oh, no. Hey, Alyssa, you know the deal. Always punch down.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all in good fun. And
I actually might be getting to see Mike on Sunday.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm up in Boston all week for a trial, and I'm really excited that I might get to see Mike and Jason and Fitz and a few of the other folks.
Nice. That would be good.
I have not been on a plane since RSA last year, and I have not gone and hung out with a group of folks since RSA last year.
I'm pretty much the same, except that I flew from RSA last year to Tampa and did B-Sides Tampa. And so that was the last of it. So it was like, San Francisco to Tampa, back home to Milwaukee. And and that was it. And so my next flight, or my first flight since the pandemic, will be next week. I am going out to Wild West Hackenfest, way west.
In Reno.
Yes. So it's
yeah,
so
I'm
funny.
still trying to see if I can make it out for Deadwood in September.
Yeah.
I owe a lot to John Strand. That man has done a lot for me.
Well, he's a good guy, and I like what they do. They've kind of got their own vibe with that conference, and so, yeah, I definitely dig it.
One of the things, so the next GrimCon is coming up in about 5 weeks in, what is it, the 14th, I want to say, I might be wrong, of July. And one of the questions we've been getting is if we're going to consider turning that into a physical conference. I haven't decided. I think we're going to keep it just twice a year, so July and December, and just sort of times that nobody does a conference kind of thing. But I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to do it physically. Just a lot more work.
And there you go. That's the first of things that I'm probably going to drop tonight. So, because, it's not cooking if you're not dropping stuff on the floor, right? So, needed to turn that heat down a bit, because as you can see, it's turning color pretty fast. Just mixing it in. That's because there's not a lot here. I'm making a half a batch of what I normally do. Normally, I would be double this, obviously. So, it's a little different feel for me. But, so I got that kind of already almost instantly, that golden brown.
Yeah,
so
I'm up there too.
Milk.
Get a nice golden color.
Just as we whisk in the milk, we're going to get that going for a minute, and then we're going to add on the cheese. So, we're going to add on the cream cheese, I should say, just to be clear.
Making a roux is one of those things, we talk about in the show a lot, like measurements are not really a thing for cooking. You just kind of get that feel of like what's the right consistency, how much milk, and you just kind of keep adding it till you get it to where you want it.
Yep, exactly. In this case, I mean, I kind of know I've done this enough times. But yeah, I mean, in general, a roux is just, it's kind of a staple of baking or cooking. I mean, you see them all the time. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that you kind of, it becomes, like you said, more of a feel. It's more of an art. We are looking good on the noodles, which is perfect timing because we're going to get this roux completely up to snuff here, and then we'll be ready to go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the cream cheese in a minute. I'm going to mix it in here. We're going to get that all melted down, and then we're actually just going to take it and we're going to pour it right over the top of the cheese that's in our bowl here, and then just mix it up. And we're going to let the heat of the roux just melt all this cheese. It's going to become a big sloppy mess, which is exactly what we want. And then we're going to take that big sloppy mess and we're going to bake it. So that is where we're headed. And then once we're ready on that, so I'll get that sauce going, and then we're going to do the chicken. You see I'm wearing gloves already. That's because I'm getting ready to do the chicken. I always, with handling raw food, like to use gloves just because that's my preference. But let's get this thing going here. All I'm waiting for ultimately here is for the milk to start boiling a bit. We'll start to see it bubble up. And that's when we'll know we're close.
I added my cream cheese. I'm starting to melt everything.
Awesome.
That's a nice thick sauce. That looks good. Mm-hmm.
That's the way we like it. We want it to be thick. Some people like it thinner too. So if you do like maybe a thinner, creamier mac and cheese sauce, little less time once this gets boiling. Do a little less time of boiling down with the milk. You can keep it a little. You can add more milk if you want. Even after you get this all in and it's all in that cheese mess that we're going to create in the bowl, if you want to make it thinner, add some more milk to it. I mean, again, you're going to bake it, so if it gets a little, cooled down by putting cold milk in there, it's really not a big deal. The important thing here, though, as you're seeing, once you've got the flour in here, even after you've added the milk, keep whisking it. Because otherwise what's going to happen is that flour starts to settle to the bottom, and then it burns to the bottom of the pan. And now, again, you have burnt elements in your mac and cheese. It's just not good. Unless you're a certain person who really likes burnt things. But I don't know any of those certain people, I don't think. God, he's going to kill me after this. That is if he's watching. I don't even know. Is he out there?
I don't know. He hasn't piped up yet.
Then he must not, because he couldn't resist if he was.
He's got a baby, so his life can be a little different. He might be, we're still talking about it, he might be the guest host next week while I'm in trial.
Oh, nice. Well, then I'll definitely have to tune in, because that's going to be out of hand.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be just one disaster after another.
So now you can see I've really got this. This is bubbling good with the milk in it. It's turning a little foamy, which is about my indicator. It's time to add in the cheese. So that's the cream cheese, and I hope you saw that. I know I did that kind of fast, but cut into small little squares. That just helps it melt better. If you put in one chunk of 4 ounces worth of that cheese, that doesn't turn out so great. So we're going to do that. While that's going, I'm going to drain these noodles. And I'm going to set this aside because I might use that again later. We'll get our noodles now into the dish that we're going to bake it in. I realize I should switch back to this guy. All right. All right, so I've got a nice creamy sauce going here. I'm going to turn the heat off there. I'm going to add my noodles just simply to this container. This is the one I'm going to bake them in. So noodles first. Set these aside for a moment. And like I said, all I'm going to do is take my sauce that's here, and I'm just going to pour it right over the top of all this cheese. Strongly suggest a spatula to get the rest of this out of here. Not sure if you can see in the sunlight, but I did actually burn a little bit. Thankfully, it's not coming off, so I don't think it's going to get into my sauce at all, but that's why we need to be careful.
Well, the smoked cheese will also help mask some of that.
Yes.
I mean, it really
It wasn't the intention, but
it actually will.
So all I'm going to do is stir this up until it's all good and melty together, and I've got that nice cheesy mess, and I'm just going to pour it right over the top of these noodles. And mine is fairly thick, which is kind of how I like it. I like a thicker sauce. I don't, as I said before, I don't like mine super thin. But again, make it how you like it. All I'm going to do now is take my noodles, and we're going to give them a bunch of cheese.
Yum. Mine's already good.
Look at that. Oh, that is so good. I cannot wait. Spread that. All right. All right. So, and I'm actually going to let this sit for a few minutes because we're not ready to start baking yet, just because, quite simply put, we haven't preheated the toaster oven yet, which I'm about to do. And then while we are preheating that, we're going to get the wings ready and get those in. Because, incidentally, this works out nice. The wings take about as long in the air fryer as the mac and cheese takes in the toaster oven. So we're going to go ahead, toaster oven to 400 degrees. You get the right one here, 400. And I'm just going to get this thing preheating. And now while that does that, we're going to prep the wings. Now the wings, I keep it pretty simple for the wings themselves. And I'm just doing about a pound of regular party wings here, which is enough for me. But I'm keeping the seasoning really simple. As I said, I'm just using Lowry salt. Boy, that sun is brutal. There. So I'm just using regular Lowry salt, and all I'm going to do to help it adhere better is I'm just using a 50-50 mix of water and apple cider vinegar. I use this a lot when I smoke meats and stuff. It's all around. It's a good flavor to add, and in this case, like I said, it's going to help just adhere the Lowry salt to the meat. Now, I mean, you can also, if you don't want to do that or you don't have the apple cider vinegar, you can just use some vegetable oil or egg whites or whatever you want to use. But I prefer that method because it adds a little bit of the right taste. And then this is literally, there is no science here. It's just kind of, season to taste. I know kind of how much I want on these. Mix them up a little bit and do it again. And they're all set to go. So we're going to get the air fryer going. All right. So I'm going to switch my view here. So hopefully, oh boy, that sun is just not helping at all. Well, hopefully you'll see what I'm doing here. So you can see the way that this is, with the Instant Pot air fryers, it's just this bucket. And you can actually do multiple layers, but I've found that for things like meat, doing multiple layers doesn't really work out so well. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line these up. The key is to not having them stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to try my best to just kind of balance them vertically. And as you get more in there, it kind of helps. They hold each other up. But we're just going to, I start always around the edges first. You know, if they touch a little bit, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, you're ultimately trying to not have them really sitting on each other, because that affects how they cook. And so I might have spaced these a little too much. Probably have to go back and adjust. But yeah, you want to make sure that the air can circulate and all that happy stuff. And so we're gonna. And since the middle is open, I can always just lay one down in the middle too, which I will do. Now, some of you with air fryers, the air fryers tell you to preheat them. Instant Pot actually tells you with theirs not to preheat. And so I'm not going to preheat. Instead, I'm just going to throw this lid on there. And we're going to give it, we're going to go 360. And I actually have to look because I forgot how much time. So it's about 9 minutes aside. And then we're going to, go and do, a few more minutes at a higher heat just to really crisp them up. So now with the Instant Pot, the other thing it does is it automatically tells you when to flip things over halfway through. So I'm actually just going to set it to 18 minutes right away at 360. And we'll start her up. So that's doing its thing. While that gets going, we're going to prep the mac and cheese with one last very important step, and that's the cornbread. So for those of you that don't know, I do have a GitHub with a lot of different recipes on it. One of those recipes is for cornbread, but it would have taken way too long to do cornbread live tonight. So I've got pre-made cornbread. All we're going to do with the cornbread is just crumble it up over the top. So, some people do like a panko or something like that. I like to use cornbread. If I'm going to put something over the top, I usually like it to be cornbread. Because it's just, especially since we're doing hot wings anyway. I mean, hot wings and cornbread always seems to work out really good together. And so I'm just going to crumble these up. I don't need like a super thick layer either, and I try to not get too crazy with it. So I probably won't even use, especially since I'm doing a smaller batch, I probably will not use all of it. Just some to give it a little extra something. It also kind of keeps the cheese that's on the top from burning, because instead you'll get that nice brown, you'll brown up the cornbread that's up there, and that just keeps you from getting that crusty cheese at the top. So everything with the cheese will stay nice and creamy and lovely underneath.
Yeah, I thought the cornbread was a nice addition. I like this.
Yeah, it's one of those things you could experiment. I mean, you could try anything, right? I like the cornbread. It's a little unique twist that you don't always see. So, and since I have some extra, I'm going to eat some because it's really good. But anyway, check out that GitHub. You can DM me on Twitter if you don't know where it is. I can send you a link to it. I have all the different recipes out there. I do a smoked brisket mac and cheese. I've got a recipe out there for that. It'll look very similar to what we're doing here tonight. Only, of course, you add brisket to it. We're probably ready to go on the oven. I'm just going to give it another minute because I want to make sure our wings catch up. But awesome. How's yours going over there, Bryson?
My mac and cheese is ready to go. I actually threw my sauce together for my hot wings because since I did not have an air fryer, I needed to make sure that they cooked a little bit longer. So I'm just now saucing them, and I'm going to throw them back in to finish.
Awesome. So that's a little difference too. The way I like to do it is a little different. Some people like to put the sauce on them and then put them back in. I know a lot of people that do that. For me, I usually I'll put them, I'll put them in the bowl after they're done cooking. And I'll just toss them in the sauce and have them ready to go. Totally up to you how you want to do it. Everybody has their own taste. If I was doing them smoked, I would take them after I toss them. I put them out on the smoker for a few minutes to get the smoke flavor into it. But tonight we're baking indoors. So
one of the things I did that's a little fun for my barbecue sauce is I used gochujang, which is Korean chili paste.
Nice. Yeah, and you don't have to use my sauce recipe either, obviously. I've done it with just like store-bought buffalo sauce. It was just for tonight. I figured it'd be nice. Plus, it gives us something to do while we're waiting for all this stuff to cook. See, I was thinking. I mean, not that I'm hurting for something to do. I have a full glass of wine, but.
Well, I mean, we have plenty of things to talk about if you want to do that too.
Well, we are going to have some time. So first, I am going to get this in because we are now ready to go. We've got about 16 minutes left on the wings. So that's the thing. Like, it actually preheats with the wings already in there, which is kind of weird. But, that's just the way the Instant Pot thing works. So I'm not going to argue with them. There we go. And I'm going to bring this down to 12 minutes. And our wings are going. So wings are in. They're doing their thing. Mac and cheese is in. It's going to do its thing. Next step, while we're waiting on that, is to make the sauce. So the sauce is about as super easy as it gets. Let's see. So sauce is super simple. I'm using Frank's Red Hot. Use whatever, hot pepper sauce you want to use. Really, obviously, whatever your tastes are. I've got the vinegar and Worcestershire sauce here. A combination of salt, garlic powder, and cayenne pepper. In case the hot sauce wasn't hot enough, we'll add some cayenne. And then, of course, butter. Must have the butter. All we're going to do, quite honestly, with this is we're just combining it all over heat. So, I mean, we're not even going to melt the butter beforehand. We're just going to add the butter. We're going to add the sauce. We're going to add our vinegar and Worcestershire. And then we'll toss in the seasoning. And now we just bring it up to heat. Let it all melt and bubble together. And that's it. So buffalo sauce is super easy. Buffalo sauce is one of those. It's definitely not about the technique. It's about the ingredients. So whatever you choose, that's what's going to affect your taste. And now we drink while we wait. Oh, wait, we were already drinking, so we can do more. More drinking. Drinking and talking and chatting, it's always good.
How's the new job going?
So the new job is good. It's been very interesting, honestly. And I've told people what's really been kind of neat about it is, so for anyone that doesn't know, by the way, I'm a Business Information Security Officer for S&P Global Ratings, which means basically I lead the security strategy for that division of S&P Global. And I went into this job, I expected a lot of my time would be spent taking things from the global security team and applying them to the business and getting, trying to motivate the business to do these things and, get them going and up to speed. Well, it turns out the bulk of my time has actually been spent going the other direction, trying to get security people to understand and motivated to work in the context of the business, which in retrospect, I should have seen coming, right? Like I've been saying for years what a lot of us in security have been saying, and that is that we need more empathy and we need to think about security differently. We can't be gatekeepers, all the things we've been saying. And it's like, I should realize that I might have to, work with my security teams to get them to, to see the wisdom that I feel there is in that particular approach. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a surprise, but a good challenge. And, I think, we've got a good security team and they get it. They understand. We have to work together, and there are those times where it's like, you just have to remind them, like, look, this is a business. We got to make sure that what you're asking us to do doesn't create all this excess friction or whatever. And yeah, they've been truly receptive to it, and it's a good thing all around. And I've got a couple counterparts in other divisions who are in the same role, who are doing this, we're working together on it. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations. That's a really big role.
I appreciate it. It is definitely an exciting role. All right. I'm just keeping that spinning. Everything's looking good. Oh, God, if you guys could smell my kitchen right now, I'm sure Bryson's is equally as wonderful. The chicken is, I can smell the chicken wings and the sauce. Oh, the sauce smells lovely. I'm going to bring it all the way down to a simmer at this point. So, yeah, the sauce, by the way, just low heat. Don't go wild with the heat on this. I mean, because, again, all you're doing is melting butter and then just getting all this stuff mixed together. So don't go crazy and boil this thing. You want to keep it just warm enough to melt that butter down.
My mac and cheese is also already getting a nice golden top.
Is it? Beautiful. I was just looking. I'm not there yet by any stretch, but I mean, it's got
some spots.
7 minutes to go. So.
So what do you think the first conference you're going to be at in real life is going to be this year?
I told you, it's Wild West Hackin' Fest.
I forgot. That's right. You're flying out to Reno next week.
Yes. So I'm excited. It was supposed to have been TEDx earlier this year, and then they rescheduled. And with the reschedule, I couldn't fly when they wanted me to fly. And so, yeah, now it's going to be Wild West instead, and I'm okay with that.
And I remember you rented out a whole place to do your TEDx production.
I did. I was so disappointed to not be able to stand on the TEDx stage and deliver the talk that we've got this really cool historical theater here in town. And, obviously they weren't really doing anything in pandemic. In fact, what was really sad was they had just restored this place, and then pandemic hit. They had 2 events, and that was it. And then the pandemic hit. And so they weren't having any events anyway. So yeah, I rented out the theater. I hired a couple of videographers and did my pre-recorded talk. At least it was on a stage. Wasn't the official stage of the conference, but hey. All right, so I'm going to take the lid off, and it automatically shuts off. So that beeping you heard was it telling me it's time to flip the wings, and all I'm going to do is turn the wings around, just get them so that it gets both sides even. That's all. Again, no rocket science here by any stretch of the imagination.
It's not rocket science, it's kitchen surgery.
Good point. I'm good with that. I mean, the thing is, I never used to be much of a cook. I definitely was never much of a baker until pandemic hit. And then suddenly I got wild with baking things and cooking things and trying new recipes. But, I mentioned that smoker. I just got a new one today. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter yet or not.
What did you get for a smoker?
So I bought a Pit Boss Pro Series, so it's a pellet smoker. Because I've got the stick burner, I've got a gas smoker. I know everybody's got these pellet smokers. I wanted to check that out. And, kind of...
Set it and forget it.
What's that?
There's set it and forget it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like using your oven. But I hear people, you see it like we have gatekeepers in the barbecue community. Like, oh, you're not a real.
I was on one of those threads where it went down.
Yeah, like, oh well, no real barbecue person would use a pellet smoker. Baloney, and so it's going to be cool to actually see how it goes, right? I want to see, do I get the same kind of smoke ring? Do I get the same kind of taste? So yeah, I'm actually really excited to fire that thing up because, I can't imagine that it is that big of a difference as people say, especially now with the new ones, like you can control how much smoke they create and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know Dave Kennedy, he's got a Traeger and a Camp Chef. And, he's been using them and he produces good results. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited to try that out.
Lena's also got a pellet smoker. She was the one that had the thread that we had the gatekeeping jump on.
Yeah, she's got that master built, and it's kind of interesting because I think it's electric, but then it uses pellets.
Yes.
And so it's electric just to get the pellets burning and whatever, but then the pellets kind of do their thing, and she does incredible work on hers too. So it's like I don't buy into all this weirdness of, oh, that's not real smoking, and oh my God, does that look good? Woo! And speaking of, mine is getting close as well. It's getting that brown top going. I'm gonna have to pull it out of there in just a minute.
If you live in the DC area, I've got a lot of mac and cheese now.
In fact, I am going to change the setting on here because that got done really fast. Actually, I'll just leave it off because that's going to be, it's bubbling. It's got, it's browned on top. So I just going to let it sit in there. It'll stay warm, but actually I think I've got a keep warm setting here. I do. So I'm just going to take that to, oh, it doesn't give me many options. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I'm going to set it like 120. And I'm going to screw that up. I'm still learning how to use this thing, so.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to take my inaugural bite.
Yes, please do. Don't wait on me. Please don't wait on me. Eating it while it's fresh is important.
Oh, I'm not going to serve. I'm just going to take the initial bite because I don't like.
While you're doing that, I'm going to get out another bowl so I can toss these wings when they're done. Good? I mean, it's mac and cheese. How could it not be good, right? Oh, that mac and cheese looks good.
And my wings are done too.
So what's the verdict on Hacker Summer Camp for you?
ICS Village is 100% virtual. There is no requirement at either Scythe or Grimm for anybody to attend Hacker Summer Camp. There was a brief possibility that showed up last week that I might come to Black Hat for a couple of days, but I just found out today that's not happening. So I'm not there this year.
That's kind of my decision was pretty similar. I submitted to Black Hat, and had they accepted, I would have gone and then done both. But it's like I'm not going to go to Black Hat if I'm not speaking because I've got better places for my company to spend that kind of money. And it's like, well, I'm not going to go all the way out to Vegas for one conference. With Diana being virtual a couple weeks before, yep. And then, B-Sides Las Vegas is virtual. It's like,
well, B-Sides Las Vegas is also the week before now too, right?
Yeah. And so their schedule's different. And then you've got, even DEF CON itself is not going to be the same DEF CON. So I just kind of got to that point where it's like, I'll miss it this year. I'll be back next year. But so, and it was the other thing too. Like I figure there's gonna be a lot of people that aren't going. So I'm not even gonna be able to go and see all the people I want to see. You know, there'll be a lot of people there I would have liked to have seen, I'm sure, but not this year. I'll do it virtual since it's hybrid.
After DEF CON, what's the next conference you might be at?
Boy, I have to remember now.
I know it's
trying to think of my schedule.
It's like 15 conferences away. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't tell you what I'm doing next week. Well, no, I can tell you what I'm doing next week, but let me actually see here. I can tell you in a second. I just have to look at my calendar. So one thing I know for sure is we've got Blue Team Con coming up at the end of August. So that'll be, so I'll be virtual at Diana Initiative. And then, that'll be the next one is Blue Team Con at the end of August. That's down in Chicago. So I'm on the board and obviously will be, on staff for that one. We'll see. I might also be speaking. We have a secondary CFP open for those of you who might be interested. Check that out. It's open until the 13th. So, we were all lined up, had everything to go for 2020 and then had to cancel because of COVID. And so a lot of people, either didn't want to, weren't able to, whatever, do the same talk. So we had to open up a second CFP. So definitely looking for people. If you've got Blue Team content in particular, practitioners, GRC. Yes, believe it or not, we actually want to see GRC talks too. How many conferences ask for GRC talks? But that's the point of this particular conference, was to be more about the people who are, in those defender roles, especially the ones who, maybe don't have big departments and really just need to go to a conference that's going to give them stuff they can use tomorrow. 0-day exploits are great, but at the end of the day, that's probably not usable information. And so I mean, that'll actually be the next conference I'll be at live after summer camp. So
I like the way that you phrased that. 0 days are fun, but they're not really a part of the 99.x% defensive perspective at all anyway.
Right. I mean, you want to know about them. You want to make sure you have tools to defend against specific things. It's good to see the trends in them and to understand what those are. But that's not one O-Day that someone launches is not the thing that you're going to come out with, or advanced SQL injection techniques. Maybe you'll use if you're more of the red teamer in your org. But if you're a true blue teamer, like you're working in Firewall City and you're trying to secure your cloud environments and things like that.
Are you the mayor of Firewall City?
What's that?
Are you the mayor of Firewall City?
Thankfully, no. Operational security, I can. That's I do have SREs and I've got a security team. I consult on all of that, but thankfully I don't have to be the one in there with my hands on them because I've been there and that's no fun. All right, so this is done at 360. I'm just going to turn it now. I'm going to check. Yeah, I'm going to give these just a minute at 390 or 400. Come on. There we go. This thing's kind of... So I'm going to go up to 400 just for a few minutes. Get this, and that's just to put a little more crisp on them, especially because this one doesn't preheat. But then these things will be pretty much ready to go. And I'm about ready to take that out of there, in fact, and we will try that. How are your wings? Did you get those? Are they back in or are they all set?
Oh, no, I am all set. I am ready to plate whenever you are.
All right. Well, here's the great reveal on the mac and cheese.
Yes.
So we're going to try that right away. And I guess while I'm waiting, I might as well get out a plate. And some forks and knives. Well, forks anyway.
Yeah, what are you gonna? The only thing you need a knife for is to defend off somebody else trying to eat it.
True facts. True facts. But yeah. Oh, and I need a serving spoon. That would be good. So yeah, let's see. Whoa, this looks so good.
Oh, look at that cheese. That is cheesy.
So very good. Oh my gosh. And with the cornbread is such a great, trust me, if you've never tried cornbread, folks, on top, try this. It is so good. Wow. Oh, amazing stuff. So, I'll just wait for my wings to be done. And because it's getting late here and this is my dinner, I'm going to keep eating a little bit of this.
I got a question for you. So this is completely out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which. It might have been the Microsoft Exchange server vulnerabilities. The FBI went in and configured vulnerable servers on behalf of private industry. Now, they got a warrant for it, but they did it without consulting the end customer. What are your thoughts?
So if they weren't law enforcement, it'd be a violation of the CFAA, right? So
the CFAA has been reinterpreted.
Yes, they did. I saw that too. The Supreme Court just came down, and that was, boy, that's kind of a bittersweet victory. I mean, ultimately, I'm glad, because anything that restricts the scope of the CFAA is good at this point in the way it's being abused. But yeah, I just, the thing is to not operate with the knowledge of the organizations, as somebody, again, who's in like a business role, what happens when something they touch falls over? They knock over a server by mistake. Now you've got an organization who didn't even know this was going on is suddenly now dealing with a situation that could have contractual issues for them. I don't know even what was done to validate the vulnerabilities. I would assume they did something to make sure they were truly exploitable and that there weren't other mitigating controls in place. But yeah, it bothers me.
I don't think that they looked for other mitigating controls. I think it was as simple as a fingerprint enumeration, and then
well, that's what I'm saying. And if that's all they did, then that bothers me too. Because what if you fingerprint it and you see, okay, it's this version, so we got to update it? Well, what if there's other controls there that would have, prevented that particular exploit from actually executing? Again, you're fixing something without the knowledge.
And a large part of this entire industry works off of Nessus. What are you saying? Saying that's not good enough for the FBI?
I have no clue what they're up to, quite honestly. And that's what makes me nervous. It's just when you don't have that transparency and you're going to go in and configure somebody else's box, that's just you're asking for trouble. And I don't particularly care for it. I think given the situation, the flip side, of course, I can admit that, I get why they wanted to, but I'm not buying it. I don't think it was ultimately the right thing in the end.
Well, I fear that I fear you're going to see more of it, not less.
Yeah.
And
I know.
The contrary I would give to that is, is that I think I agree with you that from your perch, I would say that that's accurate. When you look at how bad the have-nots have it, it was actually a godsend that the FBI did it. And I never thought I would say those words out loud in my entire life.
Right? And I get that, and I understand it. It sets a scary precedent. And
well, this is the slippery slope, right? What's the next time, and what's the next time, and what's the next time? What are the limits of liability?
Yeah. Well, and they have no liability, right? Because you had a warrant. I mean,
what's the transparent? Well, no, yeah, I mean that's fair. What's the
think about it.
transparency
They
of
come
that
into your
whole
home.
process?
I mean, think about it. The SWAT comes into your home with a warrant, and if you're the wrong house, well, sorry, we broke your door. Sorry, you'll be paying for that yourself. And
Yeah, as an Army officer, the militarization of the domestic police state has really bothered me.
I can fully understand that, and I'm glad to hear you say that because that is a terrifying mess. So
these are things I caught elsewhere. They weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah. One thing I'm being reminded of that I didn't do that I really should have. Spray a little no stick spray or something in there. So some of those wings were sticking a little bit, but oh well. So here's the sauce. And like I said, my approach to this is just pour it over. And in this case, I made so much sauce, I don't even have to toss it. I can just stir these up.
This is this is actually the approach that restaurants do. So they keep a basic batch of wings, and then whenever you put in what flavor you want, they just toss it with the flavor you want, and that's how you get it. So this is actually professional chef level wings.
Yep. And that's a lot of times they they cook it again for a few moments after they put whatever sauce it is on. And I mean, probably the best wings I had ever tasted before I tried this. And yeah, I'll be honest, and this isn't me just tooting my own horn. These wings, the first time I made them, by far the best wings I'd ever had. But there was a bar here in Wisconsin that did wings, and that was how he did it. Was he would grill them. He'd do them just basically the way you did it. Grill them up, and then put sauce on them, and then put them back on a grill for a few minutes more. And, that was his wings. And they were incredible. But like I said, in this case, easier to do it this way. I'm a little disappointed with the sauce. It's a little thicker or thinner than I had hoped it would be. But, I probably could have changed that I could add a little something to it, either a flour or something, but it's just not worth it.
So the thing that I like when you put the sauce on is you get the sauce caramelizes.
Yes.
Like you get more of that than you do part of heating it over the pan is getting it thicker. I don't feel like you get that same kind of like caramelization of the sugars.
Nope. That is the good thing with, cooking them again or grilling them again afterwards. So yeah, it's definitely a preference thing, to each their own, but I am not complaining about this.
All right, we are ready to plate. I zhuzhed mine up a little bit.
Oh, look at you. I didn't have any green onions. I thought about it, but I did not.
When I was originally thinking about this, I had shrimp from, because I did shrimp of the land and shrimp of the sea yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Potatoes and shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about like cutting up and having shrimp throughout my mac and cheese.
Nice.
But I didn't do that because I was like, I'll keep it simple for my daughter. But anyway, I zhuzhed it up at the very end.
Very well done. And I've done that too. Like I've done actually buffalo chicken in the mac and cheese. So there we are. A little bit of
You got to get in there. We got to get your pretty face in there. Come on.
All right. Let's do that.
You've got like 16 camera angles. You can do this. I've heard Pornhub rents out your kitchen on the weekends. Boom. All right. Ultimate comfort food. Cannot wait. And of course, with our purpose of always doing good, I'm going to flash the screen up again. Alyssa, myself, and Tillery will match donations. So you got $1,500 right there. 3x of whatever you put in will get matched. Alyssa, anything else you want to say about this or anything at all?
Hey, just thank you so much. Please contribute if you can to Courage MKE. I love the work they're doing. It is so important to me personally. And anything that you guys can give is great. We're going to make sure, I think we've already hit the 1,500 or the 500 in your donations. So 1,500 that we're going to donate in addition to that. But more, please. The more you can help them out, the better. It's not a cheap thing to try to house people and to try to train them and everything else. So wherever we can help out, it's important stuff.
Yeah, and if you're willing to share that with hashtag Unicorn Chef for the rest of the community, that helps drive other people to donate to other charities, or DM me or Alyssa so we can make sure that we get the full match so that they get everything that we can do to help.
Awesome.
Alyssa, thank you so much. It's been great to see you again.
Yeah, same here. Thanks so much. Take care. And we'll see you all somewhere at some conference sometime.